In 2020, the Pokémon Company asked fans to vote on their favorite little pocket monsters. The top 10 were Gengar, Gardevoir, Rayquaza, Garchomp, Sylveon, Umbreon, Charizard, Mimikyu, Lucario, and first, Greninja. For 5 years, I've been thinking at length about this top 10. What makes these Pokemon the 10 most loved? So that is what I'm doing in this video today, launching an investigation on what makes a Pokemon popular. And most importantly, investigating why Snorlax wasn't in the top 10. Don't worry, buddy. I'll commit voter fraud to get you into the favorites list next time. But let's start off with those who did make it into the top 10. And starting off with a purple ghost all the way back from Gen 1, Gengar. When the Pokémon Company first announced their collaboration with Squishmallows, they announced that 2 Pokemon would be sold in the first wave. Pikachu, of course, and then Gengar. The elements that make Gengar a perfect Squishmallow choice is also what makes it beloved. Chubby and spooky. Gengar has a sinister smile that is meant to be haunting. But when you look at this little guy, you can't help but notice how cute it is. Gengar also gets excellent treatment from the Pokémon Company. It has a Mega and a Gigantamax evolution. It is available to catch in every mainline Pokémon game. Gengar gets pushed to popularity because of how visible it is. And being one of the 2 original run Squishmallows certainly helped as well. Gardevoir hasn't been around since Gen 1 like Gengar has been, but still quite popular. And unfortunately, I think a lot of Gardevoir's popularity comes from its humanoid design. Gardevoir is one of the most sexualized Pokemon. But beyond that, Gardevoir does have some PG reasons for its popularity. Gardevoir proves itself to be loving and loyal. In Mystery Dungeon, she gets in the way to protect her trainer. People love loyalty. But let's be honest, I do think a good chunk of this is because of how fans draw Gardevoir, which is sad. Gardevoir is a beautiful and elegant Pokemon. Let my girl live in peace. Let her live in some PG peace. Moving on to Rayquaza, the only legendary Pokemon in the top 10. Rayquaza has a cool lore. I've seen so many memes about Rayquaza breaking up Kyogre and Groudon. Rayquaza also has a cool design and an even cooler shiny type. Rayquaza is on the cover of Pokemon Emerald, which many consider to be one of the best Pokemon games. There seems to be a connection between many associating the strength of Emerald to the Pokemon that adorns its cover. Fans also seem to really love Dragon-type Pokemon, which could explain also why this next guy is on this list. So speaking of dragon types, we now have Garchomp. Garchomp is a shark that can fly. It is a freak of nature that really draws people in. Garchomp also has some very good stats. In the most recent game that has come out at the time of this video, Scarlet and Violet, I have Garchomp on my team, and she is a monster. It is hard for anyone to stand a chance against her on my squad. In addition, Garchomp's association with a particular trainer gives them a boost in popularity. While researching this video on the most popular Pokemon, I was also curious to see which trainers were the most popular, and to no surprise, Cynthia is the name that came up the most frequently as a beloved trainer and character in the Pokemon series. The Contrarian Corner blog writes, "This is a cliched pick, I'll admit it, but there's a good reason why Cynthia is the single most memorable character to come from a Pokemon game, and one of the most infamous and recognizable figures in any franchise, even taking the anime into account. I think she's appeared in more games than any other character in the Pokemon franchise, and her theme song has been remixed a million times across games." Mewcraft9 on Reddit writes, "Cynthia, she is everywhere, in the games and the anime, and even though she isn't the protagonist in the Sinnoh games, it feels like she is the main character." Also on Reddit, ArrowScissor25 writes, "Cynthia, she's just amazing. She's also my favorite champion. She's intimidating, she has strong Pokemon. At the same time, she has an awesome personality. I absolutely love her Garchomp. Garchomp's close association with an iconic trainer gives it a boost amongst fans." I'm going to do these next 2 together because they are popular for similar reasons. Sylveon and Umbreon are evolutions. I talked about this in my video on normal type Pokemon. Eevee is so popular, and fans go bananas for the evolutions of this little guy. Sylveon and Umbreon rank as the most loved evolutions because of their contrasting aesthetics. Sylveon is pink and cuddly, and I would also be doing a disservice if I didn't mention that Sylveon has become sort of a trans icon, as its colors match the colors on the trans pride flag. When researching this video, I came across several instances of fans saying they felt connected to Sylveon for this specific reason. On the opposite spectrum, Umbreon is dark and brooding and mysterious. Fans see Umbreon and Sylveon stand next to each other and think it's comical that these two come from the same Pokemon originally. Umbreon is sleek and cool, and when the dark type was first introduced in Gen 2, many saw Umbreon as the ideal image of what a dark type should be. And while people love Cynthia and her Garchomp, the same can apply to Umbreon and its famous trainer, Gary. Shout out, Gary. Gen 1ers get very little representation on this list. The only two Kanto Pokemon on this list are Gengar and this next little fella, Charizard. Charizard may be one of the most known and used Pokemon. It's a meme about how much the Pokémon Company loves this Pokemon and will use Charizard for any and everything. Charizard is the final evolution of one of the first ever starter Pokemon. It has 2 different Mega Evolutions, a Gigantamax evolution, it is the mascot of Pokemon Red, and it looks like a dragon. It isn't a dragon type, but come on, this thing is a big orange dragon. All the reasons I've listed previously of why people like other Pokemon apply to Charizard. With all that though, Charizard does not even crack into the top 3. But maybe surprisingly, this next Pokemon does. Mimikyu. Pikachu is the mascot of the entire Pokemon franchise. You cannot go to a Pokemon event, store, anything without seeing Pikachu. But Pikachu is not on this list, where its imposter is. Mimikyu is a small little guy who hides its true appearance under a rag designed to mimic Pikachu. By all means, Mimikyu is meant to be the knockoff Pikachu. Dr. Nadav Goldschmied of the University of San Diego wrote about the psychology of the underdog and why people support the underdog. Goldschmied conducted a study in which he told participants that a team had a 30% chance of winning, or 30% of the financial resources of their opponents. After delivering this information to participants, 2/3 of them said that they would support the underdog team. It was reported that many saw the underdog as giving more effort or working harder. And in an interview with Newsweek, Dr. Goldschmied was quoted as saying, "There's another theory that, because the chances are set as such, if you go with the underdog, you stand only to benefit. In the likely event that it loses, then people expect it to do so. If you went with the favorite, you don't tend to gain anything in the likely case they prevail. With the underdog, if they lose as they usually do, nothing bad happens. But again, in the unlikely event that they do prevail, you get a huge emotional uplift." Mimikyu is the underdog Pokemon, going toe-to-toe against superstar Pikachu. Fans are psychologically drawn to the underdog and root for Mimikyu to topple the Pokemon that are bigger, stronger, more popular. When Mimikyu wins, fans get that emotional uplift. And I'm sure a lot of people got that uplift seeing that the underdog came in the top 3 here. The second most popular Pokemon is Lucario, a Gen 4 Pokemon. Diamond and Pearl were widely loved and really brought Pokemon into the modern era. Lucario was the star Pokemon of the 2005 movie Pokemon Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, being one of the first non-legendary Pokemon to get its own movie. Lucario has an angsty look to it that was very popular in the early 2000s. Lucario gets the benefit of cross-game appeal with people in Super Smash Brawl. And one other teeny tiny thing. No biggie, but Lucario is also in a similar boat as Gardevoir. People think this Pokemon is hot and like drawing it. So that's another point in the why is Lucario popular. And finally, the fans' most favorite Pokemon, Greninja. Greninja is an interesting case, as it seems to be loved for different reasons than any other Pokemon I've discussed today. It is a rather newer Pokemon, only being introduced in Generation 6. When starting up Pokemon X and Y, many players are tempted to select the Froakie line due to its high speed stats. Greninja boasts an impressive moveset. Players who focus on the competitive aspects of Pokemon over everything else value Greninja, while viewers of the anime feel a connection to Greninja due to him becoming Ash's main Pokemon during the XY series. Being seen gives a bump to Pokemon. Visibility equals enjoyability. And like Lucario, Greninja also gets a boost from being a playable character in Smash. The final thing that pushes Greninja over the edge is its design. A tall frog with fluid movements, coated in a rich blue shade. The long tongue, a staple of frogs being used to wrap around its neck. It's just cool. Ninjas are cool. To me, frogs are cool. A Pokemon with an elite design and great in battles is what Pokemon is truly all about at its core. I really enjoyed making this video and trying to figure out why these Pokemon in particular are so widely enjoyed. I would love it if you let me know your favorite Pokemon of all time in the comments section and tell me why it is your favorite. Leave a like on this video because one like equals one pledge to help me rig the vote to get Snorlax in the top 10 next time. See ya in the next video.